speech from the Better Successful Club series. This is a standard Toastmaster speech. I will say as a caveat, the graphics were a little less than stunning, so I tweaked them a little bit in my style. You can decide which is which. See if you can tell which ones are which. So finding new members for your club. New members are the lifeblood of every club, every organization on the planet. Doesn't matter where you are, you have to have new members. Why? You can have the most fabulous, solid, strong, committed members in your club, your organization, and life happens. We're a morning club. We run until 9 o'clock. We've had people get promoted. Suddenly, they're like, hey, I used to have time until 9 o'clock, but now I have to be on the phone because I'm managing a team and I have to talk to my offshore team in India at Tuesday mornings at 8 o'clock. Can't be here. We've had people move away. One of our founding members, Glenn Lifite, who was a Toastmaster nut. He was in 2 clubs that met weekly. And he went from barely being able to stand up and go, hi, my name is Glenn, without wanting to go, bleh, and just he was so nervous. All that ahs and ums, to moving out to Redmond, he works for Microsoft, and now he's a speaker at international conferences. But he moved. It's a long commute to boom. Every club needs new members. Postmasters says to recruit new members, you do things like this. You talk to friends, you wear your little Postmaster thing, which actually, believe it or not, does work if you're wearing a sport coat. A lot of people, what's that? A few other odd things. This is good general advice for any Postmaster club or any organization, although I have a big problem with the word recruit. Now it's not to recruit. What I want to talk about today is how we, as Postmasters, look at membership. It means a 3-step process. The first thing involves awareness. How do you raise the awareness of our club to the larger world? Second, when members walk in the door, what is their experience? I don't talk about what's their first visit. How do they experience Postmasters for themselves? And finally, follow-up. How do we follow up effectively? Before we get into how we find people, let's take a half step back. Who's our core constituency? We are a little bit unusual in Toastmasters because we're not an open club. We are a restricted club. Our restriction in our charter says that you need to be in some way, shape, or form involved in technology. Now we stretch that like a piece of taffy. We'll stretch it across the room. If you're really interested, we had Devlin, who was our area governor for a while, came in and joined the club. That guy was as far from a technology person as you could possibly imagine. But we let him in because he had first off, he had a real passion for the club as our area governor. And he really wanted to work on his PowerPoint presentations. He said no other club in the area does half the PowerPoint and the electronic presentations that we do. And he said, you know what, we can help you with it. Come on, please get going. So if you can make anything that's even a tangential connection to technology, you can be a member of this club. You have a passion for it, realizing that you're going to get some speeches on code and things that might bore you to tears, but that's okay. So who do we look for here? Historically, our most solid, most committed members are consultants. Either people who are independent, people who are working for consulting firms, because often they go from job to job to job, they meet a lot of people, and they need those leadership skills, they need the presentation skills, they need the listening skills, they understand the value of networking. We also do very well with entrepreneurs and developers. And surprisingly, technical sales. If your job is explaining technology concepts to what I call mere mortals, the rest of the non-technical, the C-suite, to explain the value of automation to people that are not quite sure the email is going to catch on, but they're thinking. Those people often really benefit and they lean into the club. They don't show up, they lean in and engage in the program. All right? It's a little interactive here. Who else can you guys think of? Question for the group. Who else makes up kind of our core constituency? Who else are we looking for?
I think real estate agents.
Real estate agents.
Could possibly, something we haven't tapped into. Real estate managers, actually promote those managers. Obviously promote this specific product. I think we
We've tapped into that at some level with Brett, the other Brett.
Yeah, we've had some of those. Mike actually came to Realtors one time, which is whole club of Realtors, and he said they would just, their eyes would gloss over and roll back in their head when he would talk about the .NET framework. I have no idea what you're talking about. It was really clear, and I kind of get it, but I don't really have anything meaningful to say. But the technology, yes, sir.
Yeah, I've been trying to get, it intrigued my interest. I applied for a job at Mosira, being a technical, a sales engineer,
Sure.
where you do pre-sales and post-sales.
Oh yeah.
But so I'm trying to develop all those skills to be able to do the sales part and the learn the technical stuff enough to where I can be kind of a SME.
Absolutely. A lot of what you run into here with entrepreneurs, tech sales, and consultants, you roll in all of that in as a sales engineer. It wasn't until I actually took on a role like that in a former life years ago that I
should say system engineer.
Right, kind of, I used to pry my head out of my computer
Sales system.
and actually look up and talk to people. Sales engineers, tech system engineers. Any kind of a technical support is actually a good thing. Anything else?
Different roles within software development, like business analysts and those sort of things that would be an awesome benefit for those.
Absolutely. Business analysts, security administrators, they're all good. They're all good. All good. Yes.
One comment that I would have, I think in club like ours there is room for 10 to 20% of people that are not. And today, everybody is getting to do business and saving electronic.
Yeah, you'd have to pretty much fall under a rock to avoid technology these days, something like that. So our base is actually broad a little bit. But I often say the core people that we're looking for generally fit into this profile. And I would also add one more thing. In my experience, the new kids on the block, ones just out of college, are not actually ideal. We've only had one member here who's 19, one of our members, awesome guy. He got me. Wow, I could have run into this when there was a 1 in front of my age. Holy moly, wrong. No stop. But I often find it takes a little bit of time. You have to go out and actually experience life and experience presenting and have people fall asleep in your PowerPoint presentation and have clients go, ugh, and put up a slide to start to understand that there is a better way. So for me, mid-level to senior people are the ones that, again, core people we target. You find somebody who's 19 or 20, and they're like on fire, and they're just a rocket ready to launch, by all means invite them. That's not who I generally go out and look for specifically. Now we know who we're looking for. Where do we find these people? You go look under a rock? No. Conferences, user groups, these are big. Whether you're presenting or attending, this is a great place for professional networking. This is a great source for, it's also work with clients is another good one. Personal and professional networking. I still believe in my heart of hearts, the absolute best place to generate interest in tech masters is when you're out presenting and you do a kick-ass presentation, really knock it out of the park, and people come up to you and go, wow, that was a great presentation. And as part of the presentation, you also plug tech masters. I always put up a little slide in the front of my decks. This is the shortest way from sitting on that side of the audience to standing up here presenting is tech masters. Were it not for tech masters, I would not be here today. also meet up in the web. We're actually starting to get, I sent out a little survey, thank you all for those who participated in my little survey monkey survey that I sent out. There's a lot of people that are looking themselves. We have found us on Meetup, a lot of activity on Meetup these days, and a lot of people show up, but there's a lot of interest there and awareness. Where else do we find our core group? Coffee shops, colo spots. Absolutely. It's a good place to have a little tech master event or something to that effect. Any place where tech experience. Let's talk a little bit about the experience that people have when they visit the club for the first time. Now, most of you guys, not a guest, but most of you guys have been here for a long time. I want you to remember your first time. Think back to the very first time you walked in. Tech Masters. Most of our core group has one common trait. They're fairly introverted. And so walking into a situation, a room full of strangers that you don't know, is a little nerve-wracking. If we don't help things when we take guests and we treat them like they're bait. And I've heard from the podium some things on occasion, rare occasion, that makes guests uncomfortable. We want to be rolling out the welcome. We want to be rolling out the welcome. We want to make friends. When people come in the door, I genuinely want to know what it is you're doing. How'd you find it? What are your interests? What are you struggling with? Toastmasters is things like greet your guests. There's our welcome pack. That's to be a professional organization. Answer questions. You're trying to, when guests come in, they come in for their reasons. You want to help them to discover for themselves, is there value here for them? A couple of pet peeves of mine. Do not stress the guests. Which means, do not ask guests table topics questions, ever. Especially the first time. Unless you know somebody's a member of Toastmasters, unless you know somebody's here third, fourth visit, they might want to take a table topics. But asking somebody table topics questions puts them on the spot, and people hit the panic button. I have to stand up in front of a room of people I don't know and talk. Hate that. I've been at clubs, we don't do this for them, but I have seen this from time to time. Can you, end of the meeting, hey guests, would you mind standing up and just tell us, what did you think of the meeting? You've now put the spotlight on your guests. You're making them uncomfortable. My number one pet peeve, you should join because we need more members. You should join because we need more women, or we need more engineers, or we need more this. Nobody on the planet ever, ever, ever joins Toastmaster Club because of what the club needs. Ever. They join for what they do for me. And what can they do for the guests? Is there value that makes sense for them? Question. Members. When somebody comes to visit, what do you consider success? What's the goal when somebody comes to visit?
Engagement
Okay.
from both sides of it, actual interest.
Leave a positive impact.
Good. Anything else? Welcome in. These are all good things.
The end goal is to get them to join, but you don't approach it directly.
Find what their need is and try to find out a need and say that we have the solution.
That's also good. I take a little different approach. Me, success for guests is to get them to visit again. Remember, it is guests sell themselves on joining. If and only if they look at the program, they look at the group, they look at what we do, and they say, there's something in this for me. I will get a return on my investment, my time and money. Time is actually the bigger investment because we need people. Money is very small. $90 a year or something like that. It's the cheapest training program we'll ever run into. But get guests visit. Yeah, that's the goal. They come back a second time, third time, a fourth time. They are seriously thinking about doing it. So the process of this, the way you get guests to is you start with follow-up. Okay? When does follow-up start?
9 o'clock.
Sort of. Anybody else? When does follow-up start? Starts in the meeting. Starts in the meeting. Follow-up actually starts at the break. Even before that. Initially, when you get here a little bit early, you're talking to people, you're learning about them, you're understanding their needs. You're learning about their needs. It's vitally important. Understand their needs, not yours. After the meeting, we oftentimes have a lot of people that have to bolt and be somewhere else at 9 o'clock. Sometimes guests will hang out, do a little bit of interaction. Again, answering questions. We forget, because we're here every week, we use a weird language. Table topics. Nobody ever talks about something like that. Evaluations, prepared speeches. There's a whole litany of things that we do. Robert's Rules of Order, you don't run into that too often these days. A whole litany list of things that we do that people don't necessarily run into every day. I don't want to walk that. Email. Usually the Vice President of Membership will send out an email to guests. So they ask people to sign in on the guest book. We don't spam you. Thank you for coming. And I would also say that each and every person, if you make a connection with a guest, reach out to them. You got this book? Give me your card. Here, I'll send it to you. If you have any questions, we're all engaged in the business of engaging our guests. Finally, in our meetup, if people particularly, if they come in for meetup, send them that little acknowledgement that says, hey, thank you for coming. We look forward to seeing you again. Phone call. I know it's a little 20th century, but I've actually done phone calls and meetings with people when I was in the membership. Occasionally, we were running into folks that actually just want to talk about it. Hey, man, I got an issue. I'm really interested, but I can only be there maybe 2 weeks out of 4. Is it worth it? Or I can, I'm there for a month, I'm gone for a month. I'm there for a month, I'm gone for a month. We have a lot of that. Remember, our membership is way more fluid than a typical club. You guys notice we have 15 people on the roster. We get about 70 people that show up. For us to have a truly vibrant club, we need about 20, 25 people on the roster, because in any given week, half of them have a problem. They woke up, they got their coffee, and their boss was screaming at them, the server's on fire, the app is crashing left, right, and center. Stay home and fix your problem. Don't worry about those things. Remember, the goal. Help people discover enough value to visit the community. Finally, I'm going to close with a quote from Homer. People who visit are honored guests. We are gracious hosts. Make new friends. Develop genuine interest in their success. If it is right for them, they will grow the club. Mr. Postman.
Excellent speech.
Way long.